During the first 4 pages, the homeboys reminisce, and they're talking about these past war stories of the varrio. But then the runts show up, and the runts are younger homies from about 14 to 16 years old in age. You have to understand that at this point, Lobo, Toro, and Santo are approximately 21, 22 years of age. And we know from our own experiences that, that 6-7 year age difference at that young age is a gigantic age difference, right? And so we know then also from our own lives that, there's this factor of respect that the younger have for those immediately older people. And the runts value the older homeboys, Lobo, Toro, and Santo. And they idolize them. Santo, he takes this opportunity to invite the runts out to a day of drinking at the park. Everyone goes together. A gang of approximately 10 of them go together to the park, and they drink malt liquor. Lobo and Toro instigate the runts and challenge them to who they are. On page 5 of the book, Lobo asks, "What the fuck have you runts done?" Lobo demanded, stretching out his kinky neck and shouting at the top of his lungs. "By the time I was your age, I'd already scalped a man and been up inside many a tender young lady. We own these calles. Remember, Toro?" "I remember," Toro answered solemnly. Think about the way Lobo is intending to influence the runts. His words: "I'd already scalped a man," violence, and he had already been sexually active as well. So very powerful themes here. You have violence and sexual prowess as proofs of homeboy urban identity. The runts listen, and they're learning. They're learning. Lobo continues on page 6, and he makes this very bold statement. "Damn, we were some sick-ass motherfuckers," Lobo exclaimed to the dark red sky. From beyond, Santo listened to life and looked around slowly at his environment. He viewed the runts as innocents who talk shit, but hadn't done anything to speak of. He knew they wished that one day they could talk authoritatively about bloody fights, potent sexual escapades, and violent robberies and drug deals. Santo saw that these runts wanted to laugh, as he and Toro and Lobo laughed about bullshit, worthless garbage that did not signify or show anything. Santo saw this and realized that these boys could never learn the harsh lessons of the varrio, laughing and bullshitting. be a theme that runs throughout the book. Let's try to understand the way Lobo is using this word. Lobo says that sickness is something to be emulated. He declares it with gusto. The way he's using it, the way that it was used beginning in about the early 1990s, is that sick meant cool. Bad, which I mean by bad, I mean really good, right? Also, strong. Something sick was strong, right? Now, Santo is not imagining this word in the same way that Lobo is. Santo is looking at this in a very literal manner. In fact, to be sick is to be weak. To be sick is to be ill. To be sick is to be close to death. Note the way Santo has framed why they should be sick. He said, that I read earlier, he realized these boys could never learn the harsh lessons of the varrio laughing and bullshitting. So, Lobo had said it and attempted to evoke laughter. Santo is very serious about this word and very serious about the literalness of it. He knows that in the varrio, the lessons that need to be learned, one needs to be serious. One needs to be thinking about death. The same way that the samurai used to meditate on the concept of death every day. A samurai was supposed to be ready for death at any moment. Santo knows that la vida loca lifestyle has outcomes. And the outcomes are prison, death, destruction, drug addiction, etc. Santo is thinking of this and reflecting on the severity of this word and on what they are doing. What is their purpose for being out with the runts? Who are they? What are they? He calls Toro to his side on page 7. Hey, bro, are we sick? You know it, Holmes. Sick as fuck, Toro answered. Then check out, Santo said. We got tradition to uphold. Because homeboys before us have been sick with it. They got our name hit up in many worlds. They're down for the brown. Now it's our turn, Holmes. At this point, Toro thinks that Santo is challenging him to machismo, to a traditional type of masculine machismo. Toro reacts by saying, all right, well, let's go to another varrio, the enemy territory, and let us cause destruction and mayhem there. Santo says nothing. He looks at a family that is playing basketball down at the basketball courts of the park. Toro continues on with suggestions about how he's going to get his horns sharpened for some combat, some battle. Santo continues staring at the family. Page 7. You want to get ruthless, que no? Toro asked. Santo glued his eyes to the family playing basketball. Toro did not understand until the silence forced him to understand. Bro, that's just the familia, Holmes. They ain't nada. Are we really sick? Santo said. Now, note here what is happening. Santo, staring at the family. Toro, note here, very important here, that Santo has not commanded anything. He has not told anyone, let's go attack this innocent family. He has not said anything like that. Toro has had to infer this. And it is Toro who then begins to question Santo. Come on, what are you talking? What are you thinking, man? Right? Santos, are we really sick? Are we really sick? Toro defends the family. Hey, man, they're just the family playing basketball, man. What the hell is wrong with you? Toro, we should begin to think about whether he really is a bull. Because if he's truly action-oriented, as in the story earlier that you would have read during the angeldust party, then he should just charge full force forward. But he doesn't hear. He doesn't hear. He knows. He knows. Even Santo knows that what is being considered amongst them is something extremely taboo, violative not only of society's laws, but even of homeboy's own code. You do not attack innocent people. You do not prey on the weak. But Santo is thinking about what it means to be truly sick. Also, if we dig into Santo's mind, he may be thinking, and the text supports this, that the runts need to learn what it is to be ruthless and sick. Because the runts living this vida loca lifestyle will have to deal with prison. And in prison, they will have to do some sick things. Like, for example, shove weapons inside of their anus, stab, kill people. In their lives, these homeboys may have to see their best friends, their brothers killed. How will they deal with this? How will they know how to deal with this? It's a couple of ways to view Santo here. Because he is so conscious of what he is doing, Santo may be the epitome of evil. Another way to view him is that he truly is a saint. For he has chosen a certain identity, and he wants the best for the young homies, even in hell, because that may be where he thinks that they're all going. How do you prepare for hell? If you have someone like Santo doing this for another, perhaps he is a saint. The argument continues between Santo and Toro. And it's really not an argument. It's really a battle of philosophies. Let's look on page 8 and see the way Santo thinks about why this should be a discussion. If we are sick, Santo said, we got a lot of responsibility with that title. It means we live the life and we die. That's it. It means we don't give a fuck. It means we know we don't give a fuck. Now, Toro continues resisting this idea of being sick. He probably understands that Santo has some type of logic here, but he does not want to go on with this. He says, what the fuck is wrong with you? Santo stays silent until eventually he says this. You can go ahead and scream out like a little bitch if you want, but I ain't hearing shit if it's above the sound of a whisper. Santo knew what he expected to hear from Toro. So if you ain't down with your homeboy, don't say shit. Just walk away. But if you got it in you to do some dirt with your everlasting brother in arms, then no more questions need to be asked. Let's study Santo's words here. Santo the Saint is not threatening Toro. He is not telling him, look, if you don't do this, I'll kill you, or I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to be violent towards you. He's not even threatening him with loss of friendship. He's not saying to him, look, if you don't do this, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. He's giving Toro an option. You don't want to do it, just walk away. Nothing else needs to be said. Now, there of course is a conflict here because Toro is supposed to be the bull. What would that mean if he leaves? Who will he be without the bull moniker? Toro begins to reflect on who Santo is. Santo has always backed him up. He has fought for him. He has stabbed for him. He has been his friend. He reminisces on this until page 10. That's what true friendship is all about, Toro now thought. And Santo never even expected or asked for a thank you. Looking back at this, Toro started feeling ashamed for questioning Santo. Who the hell was Toro to be preaching to or questioning a great angel like sick Santo? Toro was no one. Fucking Santo. I gots to love you, bro. You know I gots to love you. And with these words, this unbreakable oath, terrible Toro sealed the letter that was his life. Toro decides to do what is in his own mind about what he thinks Santo wants to prove sickness. I must reiterate at this point, Santo has not commanded or charged anyone to do anything. It is really Toro's imagination. And of course, perhaps some manipulation as well that forces Toro to go and lead the charge. they attack the family who are innocently playing basketball at the park. Horrible, terrible tragedy. In the midst of this attack, we see the roles of the characters at play. Toro and Santo immediately gang up on the uncle and the father who are playing basketball. But there's also an adolescent boy there. And this boy begins to run. And he's almost about to break through the runts and Lobo. Lobo, he does not know what philosophy is going on between Toro and Santo about sickness, but he's a homeboy. He knows he's supposed to do something. This is Lobo's role during the attack. Page 11. The boy was about to break through them all when Lobo's long, skinny legs tripped the adolescent. Lobo looked down at his scared eyes and knew he could not beat him. So he started kicking him. And that is what Lobo does. Now, not a completely innocent act, but not as vicious of an act as what Toro and Santo do. For Lobo, there must be a purpose to the madness. For Lobo, he believes that action should represent or have a gain for something. He is the first one, after he lets the boy leave, after kicking him, because he does not stomp him. Lobo does not stomp the boy, nor does he beat him senseless. He allows him to get up and run away after a while. Lobo is the first one to say and shout out, "We gotta go. We gotta go." Why does he make this statement? He knows the cops are probably going to start coming once people see and hear about an innocent family getting beaten. He does not want to get busted. He does not want to have to go to prison for a long time for something where there doesn't seem to be a real point to it. Note here that Lobo is a very lone wolf type character. There's a reason why Santo did not call Lobo up and start to philosophize about sickness. If he had done so, Lobo would have probably dismissed it and walked away. He would not have cared about the philosophy of sickness. There's a reason why Santo thinks he can manipulate Toro. You'll see that many people stereotype Toro as the stupid bull. We'll see whether that evolves later in the book. But Lobo is the one that goes for a purpose. On page 12, Lobo catches up to Santo and Toro, who are now beating up the uncle. I'll read from page 12. Out of breath, Lobo finally reached the top of the stairs, immediately searched the man's pockets, pulled out his wallet, and declared once again, "We gotta go." Lobo creates a purpose for this madness. And it's not about sickness, or maybe it is about sickness, but in a different way. Lobo steals from the man. He does not participate in the beating of this man. There's no reason to beat this uncle. He takes the uncle's money. Lobo's goal, we see here early on in the novel. is economic prosperity. It's capitalism itself. And here you have a shift from a vida loca homeboy attempting to be something else. At this point, we can also question which is the better alternative. The philosophy of a santo or Lobo's lust for capitalism. While the uncle is being beaten by Toro and Santo, the uncle pleads on page 12. Please, the uncle finally whimpered through knocked out teeth. Santo stopped for a moment to study the man. Toro also paused in respect to this reflection. Lobo counted the money from the wallet. I got to do this, man. Santo, his knuckles ripped up and bloody, explained to the uncle. It'll be over in a minute, and then you can return from whence you came. You'll be all right. Santo, beating up the uncle pleads for mercy. Santo, fully conscious of what he is doing, explains to the uncle that he has to do this. Is this an evil act? Or is this in fact compassion? That at least Santo, as paradoxical and as strange as this sounds, tries to comfort the person he is beating. He tells him, you'll be all right. It'll be over in a minute. Is Santo truly a saint? Lobo repeats to them, we gotta go. Finally, they are convinced to run away. They run away. The sirens are blasting. The cops are coming. The homeboys run into a liquor store and they thumb through the magazines. There's a strategy here. They hear the sirens going, time passes, and they believe they can just walk out. And they do. They do. From page 13. When the noise finally died down and they felt it was safe, they sauntered back outside to the streets they knew so well. At first glance, it looked as if the coast were clear. But in actuality, the coast would never be clear again. They were in uncharted waters and knew forevermore that they had no favors left. Knowing that they had been caught, a deep feeling of somberness overcame them. Yet they strutted down the street. They were flat busted in the worst way. At the end, they do not get busted by the cops, but they all know they are busted by God, by any type of morality, by any meaning in the universe. They have violated an ultimate taboo of attacking an innocent family. What's their reaction? The only thing they know how to do when they get out of that liquor store is to strut down the street. They are bold. They are proud. They are also putting on a show and a mask because now they have no favors left. God no longer loves them. They were flat busted in the worst way. it has been my pleasure to present this first chapter, Literary Analysis, to you. Please visit todobododown.com and Barrio Bushido TV on YouTube for more on the book. You will also see other parts of the lecture series from chapter 2 through the end of the book in the coming days and months. Thank you very much. Goodbye.